Hey everyone, Nigel and Luke here, and welcome to another edition of Crimes of the Week International. Representatives from Australia's Victoria Police say that they are investigating the aftermath of a tragic officer-involved shooting this week after a suspect was killed during a tense standoff with law enforcement in the midst of what is believed to be a violent mental health crisis. The incident unfolded around 3 p.m. on July 3rd, when police were called by a resident in the small town of Daisy Hill, located in Victoria's Central Goldfields area. The caller explained that he'd just been shot at by one of his neighbors, 39-year-old Johnny Glgievich. It's unclear how the attack actually began, but the man stated that the bullet had only narrowly missed him. When officers responded to the scene on Menzies Drive, they quickly located the 39-year-old. However, by this point, things had escalated. Glgievich had barricaded himself in a small metal shed on another neighbor's property. He allegedly proceeded to make threats against police, telling them that he would shoot them as well, and claiming he was armed with other weapons, including a knife and explosives. The situation led to a standoff that lasted roughly 7 hours. Throughout this time, authorities reportedly attempted to reason with Glgievich, but he refused to speak with them or surrender. At around 10 p.m., suddenly he charged out of the shed and allegedly fired 2 rounds towards officers with what is believed to be a homemade gun. Police responded by returning fire, and Glgievich was killed during the exchange. While no official motive behind the incident has been released at this time, residents in the area who knew Glgievich say that they are shocked by what happened. In interviews with local media, several described the 39-year-old as a normally kind and helpful man who generally kept to himself. However, they noted that Glgievich had suffered from debilitating back pain for years, and had also struggled for a long time with mental health issues. At the time of this recording, the incident is still under investigation. Shocking footage has emerged out of Pakistan this week after a pet lion escaped from a home and launched a terrifying attack on a woman and her 2 young children, an incident that has since led to arrests, outrage, and a wider crackdown on illegal big cat ownership. The ordeal unfolded on Thursday, July 3rd, in Lahore's Johar Town neighborhood. Dramatic CCTV footage shows the lion leaping effortlessly over a concrete wall, pouncing on a woman from behind and knocking her to the ground. As terrified onlookers scatter, a man can be seen running out of the property the lion escaped from, waving an object and managing to chase the animal away. But the nightmare didn't end there. The lion then bolted further down the street where it attacked the initial victim's 2 young children, ages 5 and 7. All 3 sustained injuries to their faces and arms and were rushed to a local hospital. Thankfully, authorities later confirmed they are now in stable condition. In the chaos, the lion's owners managed to recapture the animal and loaded it into a vehicle before going into hiding in another district. But police tracked them down quickly. On Friday morning, July 4th, Lahore police announced that 3 people had been arrested in connection with the incident. The lion was also seized and transferred to local wildlife authorities. According to police, the animal escaped from an open cage at the property where the incident took place. In case you're wondering, yes, it is legal to own a variety of big cats in Pakistan, including lions, cheetahs, tigers, pumas, and jaguars. And from the sounds of it, there are really only a couple of rules. First, you have to pay a one-time registration fee equivalent to about $176 US. Second, the animal must be kept outside city limits. And that's what's particularly galling about this week's incident. Authorities say that the lion was not properly registered by its owners, and Lahore is the 2nd largest city in the country, so there goes rule number 2 as well. Adding insult to injury, in an interview with local media, the husband and father of the 3 victims told reporters the owners stood by and watched as their pet clawed at his family, making no real effort to restrain it. Days after the incident, authorities launched a broader crackdown on illegal wildlife possession in Punjab province. 5 additional people have since been arrested, and 13 lions have been recovered. The chief ranger of Punjab's Wildlife and Parks Department told media outlets that they are pursuing the toughest punishment possible for the trio arrested in this case. Under the Wildlife Act, they could face up to 7 years in prison or a fine equating to about $17,500 US. At the time of this recording, the investigation is ongoing, and the video of the attack has sparked fresh debate in Pakistan about keeping big cats as status symbols in urban areas. A man in the Malaysian state of Penang is lucky to be alive this week after what could have been a deadly shooting outside a local school ended in a miraculous escape, all thanks to some quick thinking, tinted windows, and a reclining car seat. The incident happened at around 5:30 p.m. on July 1st, when the unidentified victim was sitting in his four-wheel drive vehicle outside a school in the city of Butterworth. He was waiting to pick up his son when suddenly 2 men on a motorcycle pulled up beside the car. Both suspects were wearing helmets and full face masks. Without warning, one of them produced a pistol and pointed it directly at the driver's side window. But in a split-second decision that likely saved his life, the victim noticed the weapon being raised and immediately reclined his seat, leaning back just as the gunman opened fire. Incredibly, the shots missed him completely. The window and side of the car were riddled with bullet holes. Reports say at least 5 could be seen afterwards. But the victim emerged shaken, yet physically unharmed. The whole ordeal only lasted seconds. After firing, the masked gunman and his accomplice sped off on the motorcycle, disappearing into traffic during the evening rush hour. When police arrived at the scene, they collected bullet shell casings and reviewed nearby CCTV footage as part of an ongoing investigation. According to a senior law enforcement official, authorities are treating the case seriously and are searching for the 2 suspects, who witnesses say were clearly well prepared for the attack. Witnesses at the scene also described how the school area was crowded at the time, making the attack especially brazen. Thanks to the victim's quick reaction and the vehicle's dark tinted windows, what could have been a tragedy turned into an incredible near miss. At the time of this recording, no arrests have been made, and police have not released further details about a motive. The investigation continues. An awful act of domestic violence has left 2 sisters dead this week after police say a 46-year-old man attacked them in broad daylight while they were riding a scooter, an incident that has stunned Taiwan and reignited debate about the limits of protective orders. The attack took place around 11 a.m. on Monday, July 7th, in the city's Tucheng district. According to police, the suspect, identified only by the last name of Xie, was tailing the 2 women in his car after they left a family court hearing. The victims, both surnamed Chang, included Xie's 42-year-old wife and her 33-year-old sister. Dashcam video later leaked online shows the chilling moment Xie rammed his car into the scooter, knocking them to the ground. Xie then jumped out of the vehicle armed with a large kitchen knife and a metal baton. He first stabbed the younger sister as his wife tried desperately to push him away, before turning on his wife and stabbing her multiple times as well. Emergency responders arrived to find both women without signs of life. They were taken to hospital but could not be resuscitated and were pronounced dead. Xie fled the scene by car, but not before posting a series of chilling messages on Facebook. In one post to his brother-in-law, he wrote that he had killed his wife and sister, adding, quote, "I've already killed your wife." Later realizing police were following him, he posted again, quote, "The police are following me. They're going to get me." Police tracked Xie's car using its license plate number. After exiting National Highway No. 3 in Changhua County, Xie turned himself in at a local police station at around 1:25 p.m. Officers later recovered the murder weapons, the knife and the baton, which Xie had thrown from his car during his escape. According to investigators, the murder appears to have been premeditated. Xie allegedly bought the weapons the day before. Police also revealed that Xie had a history of domestic abuse dating back to 2023, and his wife had applied for a restraining order against him in May after another violent incident. That order was granted on June 25th, barring him from contacting her or their 2 daughters. Despite this, Xie violated the restraining order just days before the attack, showing up at his wife's residence and becoming violent when she called police. Though he was arrested, prosecutors granted him bail on Sunday. The following day, after the court hearing, Xie allegedly followed his wife and her sister home and carried out the deadly attack. Footage of the incident, lasting over a minute, was widely shared online, adding to the public shock. The victim's family accompanied prosecutors to the coroner's office the next morning, visibly devastated. Their father, too distraught to stand without help, told reporters, quote, "That heartless man took both of my daughters from me. What am I supposed to do now?" At the time of this recording, she remains in custody and has been formally transferred to prosecutors on suspicion of murder. Police say because he initially fled the scene, he is not eligible for a reduced sentence under voluntary surrender. New Taipei's Department of Social Welfare confirmed they had been providing assistance to the victim and her family since May and promised to fully cooperate with the investigation, while also offering continued support to the grieving relatives. A horrific discovery has shocked Peru this month after the dismembered remains of a teenage TikTok influencer were found clogging the river filtration system of a water plant in the capital city of Lima. The victim, 19-year-old Fabiola Alejandro Caicedo Pina, known online as China Baby, had last posted a video to her 5,000 social media followers on June 5th. Just 4 days later, on June 9th, workers carrying out routine inspections at the water plant discovered mutilated human remains caught in the facility's filtration grid. Police were immediately alerted. Forensic teams later confirmed the remains were Fabiola's, identifying them through her distinctive tattoos, including one on her back that read Paula Sofia, along with a date. Tragically, about a week after the initial discovery, additional body parts belonging to the teenage influencer were found trapped deeper inside the plant's filtration system. Disturbing footage surfaced online showing the recovery operation. Authorities noted that not all of Fabiola's remains have yet been recovered. The brutal and methodical nature of the crime has led the Peruvian National Police to suspect that the crime could be related to human trafficking, though they have not yet ruled anything out. Fabiola's murder has provoked outrage in Peru and beyond, but has also now become the subject of widespread speculation. Originally from Venezuela, Fabiola left home as a minor to live in Lima with her then-boyfriend, Minor Jimenez Castillo. Castillo died mysteriously in 2022. While the circumstances have never officially been explained, his family had long since accused Fabiola of being involved, leading to her being harassed online. Many now wonder if the two cases are somehow connected. At the time of this recording, no suspects have been identified or charged in connection with Fabiola's killing, and the investigation remains ongoing. The Peruvian National Police say they are pursuing all leads, including possible ties to organized criminal networks. The case of a missing motorcycle in Thailand took an unusual turn this week when the man accused of stealing the vehicle reportedly attempted to outsmart police and witnesses by pretending to be drunk. The whole thing began in the early morning hours of July 3rd in the city of Pattaya. According to reports, around 3 a.m. that day, a black Honda PCX motorcycle disappeared from an apartment complex in the city's Soy Bangkat area. The vehicle belonged to a 33-year-old man named Sataporn Nantuan, who, upon discovering it was missing, quickly reported the situation to police. A few hours later, while on his way to the hospital with his grandmother, Sataporn couldn't believe what he saw: his missing motorcycle sitting in an alleyway. However, the vehicle wasn't abandoned. Moments later, the man who allegedly stole it in the first place appeared and started walking towards it once again. Thinking fast, Sataporn called for help. Local residents in the area responded immediately, confronting and detaining the suspect. That's where things got weird, though. In a strange and obviously desperate attempt to avoid responsibility, the accused thief suddenly began slurring his words, staggering around, and trying to look as if he were drunk. When police arrived, they found the suspect surrounded by residents. CCTV footage collected from nearby cameras later confirmed the theft, revealing that the suspect had taken the stolen motorcycle from the apartment complex earlier that morning and had been riding it through nearby alleys. The black Honda PCX was recovered at the scene. Despite continuing to act incoherent and claiming to be intoxicated, no one was buying it, and the suspect was taken into custody. As you might imagine, the incident has quickly become a local talking point, though police were quick to remind the public that, while creative, such attempts to avoid arrest rarely work, especially when caught on camera. At the time of this recording, the investigation remains ongoing as officers work to determine if the suspect may be linked to any other thefts in the area. Officials in Germany say that they are investigating the aftermath of a disturbing incident this week after 4 people were injured in a violent attack aboard a high-speed train. The incident took place on an intercity express, or ICE train, on the afternoon of July 3rd. The train was scheduled to travel from the German city of Hamburg to the Austrian capital of Vienna. The nearly 500 passengers were about 2/3 of their way into the journey, when suddenly things descended into chaos. Shortly before 2 p.m., one of those on board, later identified as Mohammed A., began exhibiting troubling behavior. The 20-year-old Syrian national began pacing up and down the railway car where he was supposed to be seated. Witnesses later told police he appeared confused and agitated. They could also see that he was carrying a hammer and an axe. When another passenger, a 38-year-old German man, tried to alert emergency services about what was going on, things turned violent. Mohammed allegedly attacked the German man before turning his attention to a 51-year-old mother and her 2 sons, ages 24 and 15. The family are also said to be Syrian nationals, though reportedly have no connection whatsoever to the 20-year-old suspect. According to local media sources, the situation could have ended far worse if it weren't for the elder of the 2 sons, who was able to overpower Mohammed and attack him with one of his own weapons. With the help of other passengers, the 20-year-old was restrained until police could arrive. They boarded the train just after it made an emergency stop in the municipality of Straßkirchen, just over 10 minutes later. Thankfully, it appears none of the 4 victims suffered life-threatening injuries, though the 51-year-old mother reportedly remains in hospital. The 20-year-old suspect sustained some of the most serious injuries when he was overpowered, and was treated for several wounds to his head following the attack. As for the motive behind the incident, that's still being investigated, and it appears police have not ruled anything out. At least one witness claimed they heard Mohammed yell Allahu Akbar before attacking the first victim, though authorities have noted the 20-year-old has a lengthy history of mental health conditions, including schizophrenia. On top of this, police say he appeared to be under the influence of drugs at the time of the incident, and at least 3 different substances were later found in his system during blood tests. In local media reporting about the incident, sources revealed that Mohammed A. was previously known to police in Austria. The 20-year-old is said to have arrived in the country as a minor and was granted asylum. However, last month, proceedings were initiated to revoke his status after he was convicted of grievous bodily harm and resisting state authority in connection with a separate incident. At the time of this recording, Mohammed A. has been transferred to a psychiatric facility where he is under constant guard. The 20-year-old is now facing 2 counts of attempted murder and 2 counts of negligent and intentional bodily harm. Officials in Finland say that 4 people are injured this week and a man is facing serious charges following a terrifying knife attack outside of a busy shopping mall. The disturbing situation unfolded on July 3rd outside of the Ratina shopping center in the city of Tampere. According to reports, members of the public were enjoying a normal Thursday afternoon at the popular retail complex when suddenly things took a devastating turn. Just a few minutes before 4:30 p.m., suddenly a young man pulled out a knife and began stabbing and slashing people seemingly at random. The attack began behind a bus station next to the shopping center before the suspect moved into the central square right outside the mall's main doors, where the violence continued. While the actual incident only lasted about a minute, that was still plenty of time for the male attacker to hurt several people. 4 victims were stabbed, some multiple times, and at least 2 were left with serious injuries. The victims are said to be a 35-year-old man and 3 women, ages 40, 52, and 34. Thankfully, though, none of their wounds were life-threatening. Despite the chilling and completely unprovoked nature of the incident, police say the suspect surrendered very quickly after they arrived at the scene. He was immediately arrested, but so far has only been identified as a 23-year-old Finnish man. As for the motive behind the crime, nothing has been confirmed, though police have said that they do not believe the incident had any political, racial, or terroristic elements to it. Instead, they are currently investigating whether the 23-year-old was under the influence of drugs and whether he may have been experiencing mental health issues. Regarding this last theory, authorities revealed that following the arrest, the 23-year-old made strange statements about how he believes everyone around him hates him. During questioning, he told them, quote, "All people are enemies," and quote, "Everyone is the same evil mass against him." While this is pure speculation on our part, these comments sound like a delusion commonly referred to as gang stalking. Gang stalking is where a person believes a large and organized collective of strangers is following and harassing them for the purposes of disrupting their life or causing them harm. The number of people claiming to experience this phenomenon has exploded over the past few years, especially as social media has become more and more ubiquitous. Again, though, take that with a grain of salt, because so far police have not really commented one way or the other. Adding a further unsettling element to the whole situation is the fact that the 23-year-old suspect reportedly already had quite the criminal history prior to this week's incident. According to local media, he had previous convictions for serious assaults as well as multiple robberies, in which he was also armed with a knife. At the time of this recording, the 23-year-old suspect remains in custody. He was initially charged with attempted manslaughter, though this was later upgraded, and he is now facing 4 counts of attempted murder. The investigation continues. Before we wrap up, we'd like to take a second to give a huge shout out to everyone who has made it this far into the video. Seriously, thank you so much for watching. If you found today's upload interesting and informative, we'd be honored if you'd consider liking and subscribing, as well as hitting the notification bell and selecting all notifications to stay up to date with our latest releases. If you're looking for additional ways to help support the channel, we'd love to have you join us over on Patreon. Patrons get ad-free and early access to all of our content, as well as 4 additional stories per week for each of our Crimes of the Week and Crimes of the Week International videos. You can learn more at patreon.com/crimezone, where you'll also find some of the fine folks whose names are currently on screen. All that being said, we understand that not everyone has the means to support financially, and that's totally okay. We appreciate every like, sub, share, and comment that you send our way. Once again, thanks so much, everyone, and take care.